Hey there everyone, this is Victor with VictorVectorJKU, and today Project Vector is getting some new meats. Stay tuned. Alright guys, to start off with, I am not sponsored by, nor am I being paid to do this first look review of the Firestone tires and Procomp wheels. So this is my unbiased review. So let's go ahead and first take a look at Project Vector where she stands right now. So when I first installed the lift, I realized that I definitely have a pretty good amount of clearance in those wheel wells, and it is definitely time to install some larger tires on there. Ever since I threw that lift on, I knew that it was going to be happening in the future, just didn't know when, and I finally decided, okay, it's time. It's time. The 255/75/17s have worked out just fine for me so far, but I'm ready to upgrade. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to pull Vector up onto my porch so I can get her up on some jack stands and get ready to swap out the wheels and tires. Here they are, guys. These are my new Firestone Destination MT2s. They are 37 by 1250 with a 17-inch wheel. I mounted them on Procomp steel wheels. And I gotta say, guys, these tires are beefy. They have deep tread, large voids, and is a true mud terrain tire. These things are going to be awesome. Might be a little rough on the road, but I am excited. Alright guys, so what I want to go over with you today is going to be the first look at these wheel and tire package that I picked out. So it's my Firestone Destination MT2s and 37 by 1250 with a 17-inch wheel, and the Procomp 51 series steel wheels that I went with. I want to go over why did I choose this wheel and tire package. I'll go into some details about the tire. The OEMs, the manufacturers, they'll list a lot of specs on their websites when they're promoting their tires, but they don't get into all the details that you might want to know. So I'm going to try to fill in some of those gaps, at least with stuff that I wanted to know. And then I'm going to jump into what you need to do to reprogram your ECU to account for the larger diameter tire that you're going to be running, so your speedo and everything functions properly. Before we get into any of that, I'm throwing these meats on, because you know what, I am so excited. I've been waiting for this for a week now, and I want to see how the Jeep looks. So I'm going to get to work. You guys hang tight. We'll catch back with you in a second. Enjoy the show. All wrapped up. I gotta say, she looks really mean now. That is just awesome. Alright, get the wheels and tires on. Last thing to do is gotta torque them down. So next up, guys, I'm going to be showing you how to reprogram your ECU to account for the larger tire size. I'm going to be using the OBD JScan app and the V-Gate iCar Pro. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to first plug this guy in down here into the OBD reader. Then with that, we're going to go ahead and put the key in the ignition, turn it to the on position. And with that, we'll go ahead and open up the OBD JScan app. And I'm going to go ahead and go into Wrangler JK because that's the model that I have. Select the iCar V-Gate 4.0 BLE. So I've already registered my VIN number and everything with this, and I purchased the, I think it was like $18 or $20 after tax. So what we'll go ahead and do is go over to adaptation. We're going to go ahead and scroll to tire and axle settings. Then from here, we're going to scroll again to find tire size at the bottom of the list. Select tire size. We're going to go ahead and enter in the tires. Now, I should have measured this beforehand. What the OEM states that the tire size is for these 37s is like 36 3/4. I'm going to go ahead and start off with that. And then we'll go ahead and click go. And it comes up with a little message here saying working, do not close this app, do not minimize this app, do not switch to other apps. If app won't finish in 5 minutes, you can safely restart the application. Okay, well, that was quick. Alright, it says changes applied successfully. So we're good to go there. So we're all done with that. That's all that has to happen there. Pretty cool little app. I saw this from Ben on his JK Gear and Gadgets YouTube channel. He went over a bit more of an in-depth review on the OBD JScan app, and that's the reason why I went with it. $20, you can change all the settings, you can change engine idle speed and a whole bunch of other stuff with this app. This guy here, I can actually go to my dashboard and it can give me live data, so I can set up different charts and things. I'm good to go, so I should be good to go and start up the car, and I shouldn't have any issues with running into limp mode or anything. So first I want to go into where I got my wheels and tires. So the wheels, I've been looking around. I was trying to figure out, okay, where can I find, you know, the best price for the steel wheels, who offers them, where are they made, things like that. Where I ended up finding the best price was on 4wheelparts.com. The 51 series rock crawler wheels normally run $98 approximately per wheel. I had noticed that they had a discount going on that was $25 off per wheel if you buy 4 or more. And I wanted to buy 5 because I want to have a full-size spare. So I gave him a call up, got a hold of one salesperson. I was mentioning to him, you know, hey, I was looking last week and I saw that these wheels had this discount, but for some reason it's no longer there. And he said, you know what, let me go talk to my manager, give me a couple of minutes. Came back, he's like, hey, you still there? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I can do $70 per wheel for you. He knocked over $25 off per wheel for me to buy 5 of them. I don't know if it was because I was buying 5 that they gave me a little bit better price, but $70 per wheel, coming out under $400 for all 5, that was a deal I couldn't pass up. Now, one thing that does kind of suck, I wasn't really a big fan of this, is that it is made in China. I know. And so let's go into a little bit of the specs. The wheel size is 17 diameter by a 9-inch width. The bolt pattern is a 5x5. The back spacing is 4 1/4 inches. What I learned was that running a larger diameter size tire with a larger width requires less back spacing, so it would push the tire and wheel package further away from the body of the vehicle. That prevents any wheel rub when you turn the tires hard left or right, and also prevents you from rubbing on the inner fenders when the vehicle flexes and the tire goes up into the wheel well. Similarly, it was also necessary with the high steer kit on my JKS, J-SPEC, JKONNECT 3.5-inch suspension system to get a lesser back-spaced wheel, so that way my high steer drag length did not contact the wheel. I covered that in my JKS lift. The next thing is, so the wheel weight is 34.6 pounds, and the coating is a black powder coat finish. I honestly really like it. It's a flat finish. I didn't go with the gloss. I wanted the satin or flat finish. I really like the look of it, and I think it looked great on my Jeep. So one last thing I want to cover with the wheels is, why did I choose to go with the steel wheels over an aluminum wheel? So there's a few different factors that I was looking at here: weight, durability, and cost. So now weight, typically in the past you would see that the steel wheel would be less in weight because it's a very simple construction. It's either a 1-piece or a 2-piece. These are 2-piece. So you have the outer rim is 1 piece, and then there's a welded center rim portion, and that's your 2nd piece. I didn't really compare too much of the weights. All I knew was I really was looking for steel over the alloy. And that really comes down to the durability and the cost. So obviously the cost, $70 per wheel, is pretty much unbeatable. You're not going to find an aluminum wheel that cheap. More into the durability standpoint. So you can see this rim is pretty gnarled up from 2 trips to an actual ORV off-road vehicle park. I bought my Jeep to play with it. I didn't buy it to baby it. So yeah, my wheels, those were the first things that were getting banged up, and they got banged up pretty good. So if you were to truly damage a alloy wheel and you were to do enough, you could not salvage it. You could take it to a wheel repair shop, they could weld it back up and do a whole bunch of stuff, but that's really pretty expensive. It's really not worth it for me. That, and also I didn't want to be putting $200 or $150+ wheels on my vehicle that I know are going to get scratched up, damaged, possibly even destroyed to a point where I got to replace the wheel, and I don't want to be paying $200 and something to replace one wheel. It's the reason why I really like the steels. So now one thing that does sort of stand out, and you can look at this and identify this really quick and easy, is the valve stem is receded back inside the wheel face. So you don't have to worry about that valve stem likely getting hit by a branch, a rock, or something being ripped out. One mistake I made, I didn't realize this when I was ordering the valve stems and the TPMS for my new tires, but I ended up getting rigid valve stems. These guys are hard. There's no flex to it. If I ever hit that off a rock or a branch gets in there, that thing's probably going to bust off, so I'm going to definitely have to carry some spare valve stems just in case I have to do a repair on the trail. Versus this one, it is a flexible valve stem and it's receded in, so it's a lot more protected. One other thing that I was looking at with the steel wheels is notice how the face is recessed back into the wheel. Versus this one, the wheel face is right in line with the face of the tire. This leads for this guy to be able to get banged up really easy, whereas here you just have this little lip that comes out, and if that lip gets bent, you know, it's a steel wheel. Get a BFH and just hammer it back into place. And it's good enough to get you back off the trail at the end of the day and possibly get you home, or at least to a point that you can get a tow truck or something. Those are kind of the aspects as to why I decided to go with a steel wheel over an aluminum wheel. And personally, I like the look of the steels, so it's me. So it's the Procomp 51 Series Rock Crawler 10D window cutout. Alright, so the next thing I want to cover is tires. Where'd I get them? I went through a bunch of research first, looking at different tires. You know, what did I want to get? Did I want to go with a mud terrain? Did I want to go with an all-terrain? Do I want to go with a hybrid? You know, I wasn't really sure. My last Jeep, my Jeep Cherokee, I had Cooper SCT Pros. Loved that tire. Honestly, there wasn't a lot of road noise that I picked up with it, and they were great. I've had a Toyo AT. I've had the Goodyear Duratrax. I've also had the Toyo MTs. I've also had a Goodyear what was it, Silent Armor, something or other. But I really wanted to make sure I got into the right tire this first time through, and that's also why I didn't skimp around and go with the 35. I knew that I wanted a 37 at some point with this Jeep. I knew how 37s looked on them, and I knew that's where I wanted to be, so I decided to invest a little extra to get with that 37. And I ended up settling on the Firestone Destination MT2. I knew about Firestone Destination MTs. I wasn't really a big fan of their tread pattern, but honestly I really like the tread pattern for the Destination MT2. It's honestly very similar to any other of the MTs out there. I also noticed that the new Jeep Willys package, that is the tire they're putting on them. So I was like, you know what, if Jeep chose Firestone, Jeep must have done some testing or at least validation to say, we're willing to put your tire on our brand. So that's a pretty big deal, because you look at Jeep Wrangler Rubicons, they're running the BFG KM2s, the all-terrain version, and in the past, Jeep was running the BFG KMs stock for their Willys and their Rubicon editions. So if they're moving up to Firestone as their new Willys Edition package tire, must say something pretty good about this tread and this tire. So I figured, what's it gonna hurt? I've looked at Firestone directly as purchasing from them, and then I also looked at Discount Tire. So I ultimately went with Discount Tire for a few different reasons. One, they do price match. Their price was higher than Firestone, but I showed them the price at Firestone, and they were willing to honor that price. Their estimate came in at the lowest. Now granted, this didn't come with alignment, it was just the wheel and tire mounting, balancing, and then also mounting on the vehicle. Now, I elected to not have them mounted on the vehicle. I wanted to go through this review with you guys. I wanted to be able to show you all 5 tires off to the side, show me throwing them on, so it kind of worked out for me there. But now, the one area that Discount Tire really shined was their warranty. They have a full tread life warranty on these tires for, I think it was about $45 per tire. Firestone similarly had a tread life warranty that was comparable in price, but Discount Tire will cover any damage to this tire, period, minus vandalism. So essentially, if I pick up a stick off-road, if I gash a sidewall on a sharp rock, if I pick up a nail on the road, sidewall, tread, anywhere on this tire, they will honor giving me a full brand new replacement per what they said at no cost to me. The only thing I would have to do is pay for another tread life warranty on the next new tire. So, in comparison to Firestone's warranty, they only cover inside the tread blocks, and that is only for on-road debris. So things you can pick up like nails, asphalt, cracks in the asphalt that might damage the tire, things like that. They will not cover any sidewall damage, and they will not cover any off-road damage. So that's the reason why I went with Discount Tire. When I heard that warranty, I said, no way, you guys got to be kidding me. This is way too good to be true. But I've yet to actually try it out and see what happens, but from what they said, it'll be covered. So that's actually a lot of peace of mind for a tire that's over 300 bucks. So let's go into a little bit of detail here with some of the manufacturer specs on this Destination MT2. So I was looking at and comparing 3 different sizes of this tire to sort of get an idea of what I wanted to go with. I looked at the 37x12.50R17, 35x12.50R17, and the 315/70/17, which is approximately the 35 comparison in metric dimensioning. Granted, it does run a little bit smaller, and it's really more of a true 34.5-inch tire, but that's okay. We'll get into some of the details about that here shortly. So looking at the cost standpoint, I'm going to put up a little table over here to the right, or I guess your guys' left, my right. That'll show all this detail that I'm going through right now. But basically, so the cost of the 37 versus 35 versus the 315. It's $317 per tire versus the 35 was $347 per tire, more expensive. And then the 315s were $259 per tire. Our service description or our load rating for the 37 is 124, followed by 121 for the 35 and the 315. The load range is D for the 37 and E for the 235 and 315. Speed rating across all 3 is Q. They all 3 have black sidewalls. The lettering is black wall. There's no white sidewall lettering. Suggested rim width for the 37 and the 35 is 8.5 inches wide to 11 inches wide. And then the 315/70/17 suggests an 8.5 to a 10-inch wide wheel. And then the overall actual diameters that Firestone gives for these tires, for the 37 is 36.8 true, 34.8 true for the 35, and a 34.4 true for the 315. All 3 have similar tread depths at 21/32, and our tire weights are 80 pounds for the 37/12.50, 72 pounds for the 35/12.50, and 67 pounds for the 315. So now the next number here is the ply rating. This one is a true 8-ply tread, which is broken up into 2 steel, 3 polyester, and 2 nylon. And I apologize, that is actually 7, not 8. And then the sidewall is 3 polyester. And so that being a load rated D tire, having 7 plies, again exceeding the C rating at 6, makes it the 8-ply D rated tire. So the last thing here is going to be the DOT code that I'm going to cover. So there are 11 to 12 digits on the sidewall of the tire. These are going to follow the DOT molding on the tire here. So I am able to locate my DOT symbol. I then have 73B3 47C3618. So if I take this, I know that 73 is going to be my plant code. With that, 73 represents Toyo Tire North America, located in White, Georgia. So one thing I was pretty happy about was that this tire was manufactured in the USA. With everything with COVID going on, I want to support local, I want to support US business as much as I can, so I was really excited about that. I did do research into these tires, and I was able to identify that this brand of tire and this tread pattern is manufactured in North America. It's going to either be made in Mexico, US, or Canada. I really want to make sure I stay US or at least North America based when buying my tires. And then next up, so the last 4 digits here. So we had 3618. So that means it was manufactured on the 36th week of 2018. So that means that these tires are coming up on 2 years old. And now those are 2 numbers that I was really interested in knowing when buying my tires. Now I want to go into a little bit more additional detail here with you guys. So there's some stuff that I want to know personally, different from what they list on the manufacturer website for a tire. I wanted to verify what is my true mounted tire height or diameter of the tire on the wheel. So what I did was I took a straight edge, such as this. I actually then stood my tire up and I put it flat across the top, and I took my tape measure and measured all the way from the ground up. And I determined that my tire height was actually 36.5, so 0.3 inches shorter than what the manufacturer OEM states. Then I want to look at the mounted section width. So again, what I did was I took 2 straight edges, in this case, and on either side of the tire, I put the rulers to the sidewalls, and I measured from the inside edge of this ruler to the inside edge of this ruler. And I was able to determine this was exactly 12.5 inches as well. So our section width is actually 100% on per the manufacturer's specification that they wrote. Now, one additional piece of information that I was curious about, so now section width is from your outside to outside of the sidewall. It's not what your actual tread width is. So what then I did is I also measured what my tread width was. And so what I did was I measured from an outside block to an outside block on the other side of the tire, and an inside block to an inside block on the other side of the tire. And I found that the inside to inside, or the narrower blocks, was 9 7/8 of an inch, and the outside or wider blocks went to 10 1/8 of an inch. So my true tread width is actually right about 10 inches versus the full section width of the tire, sidewall to sidewall, of 12.5. And then similarly, I did verify it is 21/32 on this tire for tread depth. What I did there is I just extended out my calipers, and then I was able to press it in and get my dimension there as to what it was. And so I guess just the last couple of comments on why I went with this tire. So obviously, I chose the 37/12.50. It came in less than what the 35/12.50 was at. Now I could have gone to the 315/70/17, but I really wanted to be in that 37. I didn't want to be in anything that was under a 35-inch tire. The added clearance that I'm getting over the 32s, so I went from a 32 up to a 37. So that means that I gained 5 inches in diameter. I increased my ground clearance by 2.5 inches by going to the larger tire. Now, exact dimensions, I'd have to measure what this tire truly was to what that tire truly is to figure out exactly what it is, but approximately 2.5 inches of ground clearance. I knew, like I said, I wanted to stick with a US or North America built tire. I wanted to stay with a less expensive tire, which this one comes in at $317. The only other mud tire that I found, other Patagonia MTs, that came in lower. And I think those were about $250 to $270 per tire. See, I didn't want to go with the Patagonias. Everyone's running the Patagonias. From what I've heard, they're great to start with, and some people have said they're still great keeping going, several tens of thousands of miles down the road. And some people say that they're less impressed with how the performance has decreased. So I didn't want to go with that tire. I think it's made in Taiwan. And like I said, I want to stay US based, so I went with this. Price is a little bit more, but I am happy with the tire. I guess the next thing that I want to cover a little bit here is why I went with 37s over 35s. So, like I said earlier, I love the way the JKUs look with the 3.5 to 4.5 inch lift of 37s. I think it's a great look. And I knew that eventually I was going to get into 37, so I said, why not today? So I knew a 37 is going to run a little bit less, but it's going to be at least a 36, and that means I break over that true 35 diameter, which is what I wanted to be at. So with this, I'm at 36.5. If I measure what my actual height is on the rig, and then when I air down, I still have a lot of sidewall and a lot of flotation there that's getting me clearance over my axles, my drive shafts, and my undercarriage. So it's just increasing my ground clearance. Then similarly, you have to keep weight in consideration. This tire is 13 pounds heavier than the 315/7017, or 8 pounds heavier than 35/12.50. So yeah, I do have a little more rolling resistance. My braking, my acceleration are going to both be impacted, but I don't drive my Jeep like a race car. I respect that it's an off-roader. It's meant to go where other vehicles can't, and I'm going to drive it that way. When I was looking at these tires is the apply rating. I thought I do not want an E-rated tire. They are hard, they are abusive on the trail, on road, so I wanted to go with a D. So it's going to be better than that 10-ply tread rating. So should flex a little bit better on the rocks, flex around different obstacles and stuff, so it should be a little more comfortable on-road, off-road, and just depending on where you air up your tires to. That's really all I have to speak about for these guys at this point in time. Again, this is really a first look at these tires. This is not an in-depth review yet. This is just more of the specs on the tires, what I see from them at a first look. And look for a video here from me in the future once I get a few thousand miles, or maybe 10 or 15,000 miles on these tires. Get some off-road performance in there, and I'll fill you guys in on what I think of them. I'll let you know how they're performing, how they're holding up over time, if there's any chunking or anything happening with the tread. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to these tires. They're a good price, deep, aggressive lugs. The tread pattern is just super aggressive. I love these things, and I'm looking forward to it. So I hope that you guys found some good value out of this video that I put together for you today. Provide you guys with good detail and feedback, installs, different videos of things that I'm doing on my project, Project Vector. If you guys did enjoy this video today, definitely hit that like button for me. And if you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out there, subscribe and sign up for notifications. That way you guys know when I'm launching my next video. We are VictorVectorJKU, and we're taking on this build and the trails with both direction and magnitude. Alright guys, have a great day. We'll catch you next time.